we know, has recently visited Katha, which was one of the number of places where Orwell was stationed during his time in Burma, and we're going to hear about it.
Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for having me here in this meeting. It's really great honor. And first, I would like to explain that yes, my name is Rina Crick, but it has got nothing to do with Bernard Crick, as well as no connection with Francis Crick as well, or Michael Crick. The George Orwell connection. In myself, I was working at the BBC Radio Indonesian section from 2003 to 2006, and it's on the 4th floor. And then there's a huge, there was a huge banner in Bush House of a picture of George Orwell with the BBC flag on it. Yes, that white, black and white, in the wall next to King Jordan. So every day I was working and seeing that. But at that time I didn't have much interest. Second one is this came through my husband family. So his great-grandfather, Bernard Horton, was deputy commissioner in Katha in I think 1886 to 1905, and he left Burma 1912. And then I think about 10 years later, in 1922, every player was being posted in there. And the similarity within these two gentlemen is that after retired, Bernard Horton was also very, very anti-colonial government. He's retired, but he was writing a lot about how to do administration in Burma and in India, and he's writing a lot and campaigning about the separation of Burma from the Indian colonial rule. So I'll start with this first. Maybe I should just start with the Myanmar current situation. My husband, Thomas Crick, he meant to be here today, but he couldn't. He's working within the UN, and right now he's being posted in Yangon, in Rangoon, and yes, mainly covering the conflict in Rakhine. There are 21 rebel groups in the country, and only 10 had signed the ceasefire agreement. So everywhere, not just in that part, but also in the north, and then also the border with Thailand, this conflict is still going on. And in Rakhine, the conflict is not only just about the Muslim, the Buddhist military government towards the Buddhists, but also it is about the majority Burma ethnic group towards sort of Bengali ethnic group. And then in our trip, we did the trip last December with as a family and with my 2 children, and we talked to ordinary people, like with taxi driver and people in the shop and things like that. They flatly refused that there is problem in that area. They were saying, oh no, that's terrorists attacking our villages and our military doing what they can to protect. So the conflict in the north, it is ethnic minority Christian, and since long ago that north part of Myanmar is very important, including during British colonial time as well, because it is rich in oil and gold, also jewelry, and also opium. In that, during the British era, opium trade with China was very important. Okay. But apart from that, I think you should visit because, Myanmar people are generally very polite, and it's a very safe country. We've been traveling all over the world, partly because of my husband's work as well. And that's the only country that we feel we can leave our stuff in the hotel. We can leave our bags in the car that we hired without any worry of like someone will take it. No. And then also walking around everywhere in Myanmar, we find that people do not really hassle you much, like when you go to other tourist destinations. Okay, and then also it's because right now it is an exciting point of time to see the change in that country. Yes, kind of democracy started to become open in there, but people are still referring themselves as living within the 1984 system of governance. So I mentioned to you earlier that Orwell is really being referred to in there. And journalists that I met, cartoonists, they continuously using reference from there, from the book, into their critic or indirect critic towards their own government. And yeah, this is where the map of the country. We flew into Yangon, which is close to the beach here, and then up to Mandalay, flying there. Then from Mandalay up to Katha, we hired a car because there are other ways of getting up there by ferry. So there, ferry along the river up to from here to from Mandalay to Katha. But there's choices. The first one is the cruise ship. Oops. Yeah. The very convenient ones with the cruise ship, but there's local ferries. They take very long, and that time was dry season, so the river is sort of like a bit dry up, and then the trip tend to be a bit slow. Okay, those are the information that we got, and there is train from Mandalay to Naba, which is not far from Katha, and then from Naba you have to get a bus or hire the car into Katha. But the train as well as the railway are from 1920s, so it's really, I would say, really difficult. And then I've seen this program on Netflix, and then I could see it's horrible. And there are public buses and minibus, of course. Yeah, and that's the example of the local ferries, and that was the cruises that you could go. And this is the example of how railways are like that. In some part, even quite interesting, the part that we passed through car journey, the what do you call this? The sleepers, sometimes it's twisting like that. So me and my husband sort of like, oh, that can be quite interesting. And the train is actually on it, so quite dangerous. And then I'd like to talk a bit about the Heritage Trust in there. We met the team, and then it consists of a group of local artists. One of them is Nyoko Nai, who's a graphic designer, and this is the person who I've been in contact to from, I think, 2013, when I started to do research on Burma Important as part of the family archive. Yeah, he started to be interested in those things when he saw that lots of tourists, mainly people who are very interested in George Orwell, came in the city and then sort of trying to trace this Orwell sort of connection with the city. And he also met Emma Larkin, of course, the writer of In the Footsteps of George Orwell in Burma. And in 2013, the House of Deputy Commissioner was about to be demolished because they are all in the city center. And it's, in terms of value, it is really good value for the land. And the local government wanted to either sold those buildings into private investor or demolish it completely and to get the ground, which is happening right now with the British Club. So far they have been able to rescue the DC house and also supposedly Orwell house. We are not sure whether he was actually staying in there because it's quite, I'll show you the picture later. It's a kind of big run, and it was, I think it's the police commissioner or something like that. So here is the, you could see the thing that they have achieved, and then they are really keen on trying to preserve the whole town to become based on the theme of Burmese Days, because they could see that after Burma is open up to the world, tourists coming in, but mainly into Yangon and Bagan, Mandalay, and they would like to draw them up more into the north. Right now, the people who are coming there is just people who are really interested in George Orwell or the Second World War, because in the Second World War, Katha was also the center for sending the British troop to sort of attack Japanese supply. It's called Chindit Operation, and I think it's White City or something like that. So, and some work has been done related to the Second World War project. There is also other things to do around there, which is visiting local artisan, and there is also elephant camps where the old elephant that used to be used for working in the logging company now being sort of put and reserved in there, and they are really heavily rely on voluntary donation. Okay, that is some people within the team of the Heritage Trust, and that is the chairman. This is George Orwell House. Right now, it's partly restored. Currently, it is still being used as a police headquarters in there, and but it is already being given to the trust to be preserved, and they plan to build a museum, although I have to say they don't have much to put in it as a museum. So yeah, I've been trying to talk to them to use it as like a center of learning, or I don't know, art and journalism or things like that, instead of using it as a display museum. But it's still ongoing talk. That's the inside. Currently it's here in the middle hall there. It is being used for meeting for the police in there. And this billboard had been put just recently in front of Orwell House. Yeah, although I think some of the date year is not quite correct, but I've given the book on George Orwell's life, your book actually, David, to them for reference so that they can sort of amend it. And this is a produced booklet for the local tourism. Because, yeah, I talked to them, to the team, and then they were saying it is so sad that visitors coming from all over the world to this city, because they are well educated, they know a lot more, and then our own people in the city and know very little about ourselves. So they also part of why they're making this is also for the local young people in that city to understand the importance of their own city. And this is the house that so it come up in our family archive. We have all photos of in the front as well as the interior of the house. When Nyoko started to do the report about it in the newspaper, it came up in Paris newspaper, and then it just happened that I was doing research on Bernard Horton, and then the picture of this house coming out, and by saying that it was George Orwell house, and then I thought, I don't think it is, because it is a Deputy Commissioner house according to our archive, and that's how also led into me contacting the society and saying that this is going on in Katha. That's the inside right now. They have got some sort of map of the Second World War photos, and they start also the digging in the Japanese cave around the area, and then they found stuff from the Second World War, and they're planning to put it in here as a museum. And we continue to supply sort of things that we got at home, and making a copy of those stuff, giving it to them. So, but the other thing that kind of small vision that we did, because I could see that quite often he's being referred as this is the DC, the commissioner character within the Burmese Day, and I said, well, it's different character. This is a little bit about Bernard Horton. So he has a sort of career of about 23 years, ranging from assistant commissioner to become commissioner. And there is a school in Myanmar which still standing up to now, still running. And there was a library, but right now we don't know where exactly is that library or what became of that library. And then, like I mentioned before, after he retired, he's supporting the independence of Burma from India. So basically, if you do research on Google search, you will find a lot of references to him. He lived from Burma, he lived in Devon, and the house has got a tower on top, and it is by the beach, and it is known apparently that there is a tunnel from the house into the beach, and the other side of that Devon is obviously island. So those days when he was active in politics, it is quite easy to sort of like making an issue that he was a spy for Sinn Féin. Although the other reason he went to Dublin quite a lot is because his wife was from Dublin and his family in there. Okay, he died in 1933 in Oxford, and then here you can find the reference about him a lot more on that website, written by historian of British colonial history from a professor from Leeds called Jonathan Sana. That is the British Club. The insides right now it is still being used as a sort of cooperative, I think farmer cooperative, and they have the plan to build a garden in front, which is right now is in terrible condition like that, and then also at the back is actually a river that goes into Irrawaddy, but it's right now it's drying up. And that is the hotel where we stayed, with a restaurant named after the book in what was that called? I can't say it. Kyoktada? Choktada or something? Yes, Choktada or something like that. And the rooms were named after characters in the book. And then the library, full of copies of anything related with either Burma history or George Orwell. So if any of you thinking about visiting, do bring a copy of anything that you've got, and they will be more than happy to have it. And the leftover of Second World War, you could see it everywhere in the town. As you can see, it's the landing strip for plane being used as fence in the hotel as well. This is the statue of Aung San, General Aung San, which is the father of Aung San Suu Kyi. Recently, there is order from the central government to build one in each major cities and to name bridges after him. For places that is mainly majority Burma ethnic, it is no problem. But for the places where ethnic groups are living, as main population is non-Burma and non-Buddhist, he is not seen as a national hero because he was, after the independence given by the British to Myanmar, to Burma, it was mainly the Burma majority led by him and ruling the country. So the local, especially in the north and in the borders, they're not really sort of openly accepting the idea. And currently there's quite a lot of incidents, protests, as well as big riot going on because they don't want to accept this idea. We were actually sort of considering to fly to Burma, which is closer to Katha, and it was quite interesting. The people in here, in Katha, who I contacted to, he didn't really want to say clearly that there has been a problem, because I guess they don't want to scare us not to come. He keeps saying, please take a car from Mandalay to Katha. But I looked into sort of doing more research. It's like, oh gosh, 8 hours with 2 children in the car for the full day. Will we sort of able to do it? So I keep contacting different people, as well as my husband trying to ask information from the UN staff as well, who knows that area. And then eventually we got the actual answer saying that there has been sort of explosion some sort on one of the roads because of this protest. So people do not want to have a statue of General Aung San there. Those are just a little bit of details in there. And there's a lake as well that you can visit in there. Unfortunately, you can't swim in it because people are mining the gold with mercury, and the water goes into the water in the lake. And that's a Japanese hospital, which is quite interesting because it is underground. So when they left after the war ended, they tried to bury it and close the entrance so that the British couldn't, or anyone else could use it. The digging process is still in the process, ongoing, and then they found a lot of stuff, and the local government seems to sort of funding them because they now see that yes, we can build a revenue from attracting tourists to come here alone. Yeah. And those are the library in the hotel, which is quite interesting because the other thing that very notable in there, the older generations really good English. The younger one is struggling because the quality of education is not great. Yeah. Thank you for. I'm so sorry, it was sort of like rambling, but
okay, let's